one or two people here. So I tailored it to new grad, but then it could work for somebody maybe changing careers or somebody trying to navigate into a new profession. So firstly, I thank you to Brother Emmanuel and I think Brother Okwe that spoke earlier. They actually hit the nail on the head because we want to start from where the money is going, meaning what is the federal government spending money on at the moment, or what is the province, what are they spending money on? One of the biggest thing right now is energy, and being that we work in the energy sector, we see it in real life. We are able to, when they give us the projections and all of that stuff, even if we don't know the technical know-how, but we are able to see, is it positive or negative? Okay, positive, okay. Are we going to have job for the next 20 years? Okay, we are happy. So energy is one of the fastest growing sector in Ontario and in the federal government, and they are pumping like a whole lot of money into it, and other sectors like they mentioned earlier. So it would do us good to channel our maybe career development that way, because naturally there'll be more opportunities in those sectors. So for new grads and essentially everybody, there are just a few things that recruiters want to see. When a recruiter is looking at a new graduate's resume, it's fine. AI does some of the job for those that use AI. It's a good thing now that we have a legislation that says that companies have to let us know if they use AI. So you already know that I'm going to be screened by an applicant tracking system or not. So you already know that, because now by legal obligation, every company that uses AI to screen applicant's resume, they have to put it in the application post. So when a recruiter is looking at a new grad specifically, their resume, they're not looking at a 10-year track record. Like I said, they're not trying to see whether you have a decade of experience or whether you have related experience to what you're applying for. It's pretty much just the top third, the hook, like we say. So it's your degree, major, graduation date, and clean layout. Graduation date, because if they are channeling the recruitment towards new grad, it means you have to have graduated in the past 2 years, most likely, for early careers. Is 2 years a year. That's what we look out for specifically. So if you don't put a date, it means, how do we know when you graduated? It's not to discriminate, because, really, we don't care about when you graduate. But when it comes to new grad, we care, because that's how we select those for our early careers program. So they want to see the year you've graduated, your major, that is, if it's in engineering, or what major you have, for them to be able to know what areas to consider you for. And also action-oriented leadership. That's when they see your resume, they want to be able to see the things that you have done that's related to, not particularly to the job you're applying for, but in relationship to how you've been in a team. Like, what have you done in terms of projects, the kind of roles you've handled. May not be leadership per se, like may not be being the president of maybe a school club or something, but being a member of something. Like, if you want to do, I'll use HR as an example, for instance. So if you want to do HR, maybe, an associate member of maybe CHRP, HRPA, because that's like, the most popular one that we have in Ontario here, or maybe payroll, you're an associate of national payroll, blah, blah, blah. It just kind of shows that, okay, this person is following that trajectory at the end of the day. They are, vested in improving themselves in that area. So they're not trying to see, maybe you having real life experience, because you may not have it, and you may, but then they're just trying to see, like, places you've worked, or the things that you're involved in currently that, they could point out, okay, this person could be a good team member or team leader or something like that, which is great. Because at the end of the day, those are the things that we use to see if this person can be culture fit. So at the back of our minds, even if we are talking to people, we want them to have technical know-how, definitely, but then everything can be taught. So I know when we have discussions like general HR, we just speak and we agree that everything can be taught. Like even rocket science can be taught, because people that are doing it now, they were taught. So the most important thing for us is being culture fit. I'll talk a little bit about culture fit in a couple of minutes, but essentially what we want to see is also technical skill baseline, meaning in your work, what are the tools you can use? If you're a developer, for instance, can you use Python or all of the things that you ought to know at your level? Can you use Excel? Can you use Power BI or all of those technical things, Canva and all those things? They want to see that. And also readability. These days of, you can quickly put your resume into AI, it's, aligns it for you and everything. So it means if you can't provide a clean resume, then, so most times we just want to see clean formatting, definitely. And the truth is, one of the things that I would like to also say is individual biases do exist. And a lot of times I would say it is not your fault that you've not gotten a job. Like, it's just the way it is. Like individual biases, is when hiring managers see like resumes. In terms of readability, like I said, I've, an hiring manager have said, why can't this, like, that's the least you can do. Why is this resume like this? He didn't even bother to, look at what he has because he was just kind of irritated. It's a personal bias for him. And he feels like if that person can't get the resume in order, then, why do I have to hire this person? I've seen another one for address. That is, because, so another thing you have to be mindful of is that's the, how networking works for you. Like to know like little bits about, maybe that role, if possible, if you can get people to tell you about it. For we are based in Oshawa here, and that's where our corporate headquarters is. We have a difficulty hiring people to Oshawa, especially like the talent that we want to hire. They are based in Toronto, they come from, far away, especially because the head office just moved from Toronto to Oshawa. That's like about over 60 kilometers. So people are, they are far west. So when we had the, when we wanted to move to Oshawa, we lost like a lot of people. People retired just for that. And we need some people in Oshawa because we have our 2 plants in Pickering, Darlington, and all of that. That's where our stations are. So we need people here. So at that point, when we know we have that difficulty, any resume saying Toronto is the least. So you may not know why I said sometimes you getting a job does not have to do with you, because of what you've done. It's just some dynamics that you may not know because we wouldn't put it there to say, oh, we are not hiring anybody from Toronto, or if your resume says Markham, we wouldn't consider you, or your resume says Oakville, we wouldn't consider it. That is like an internal thing that we sit down to talk about. And the hiring manager says, Toronto, like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm like, what? They could move. I moved from Ottawa to Oshawa for this job. Like, you know what, okay. No, I don't want to take the risk, So that's something I wanted us to note. I'll talk about fatal new grad application mistakes. One of it is I do everything objective statement, meaning, ambitious graduates seeking an opportunity to be able to grow in a career that has to, all of these things that we put. But then it's good to always nail, how does it say that thing? Nail the nail in the head. Thank you. So, just be specific about, we don't want nobody's trying to see like a very lengthy objective or something. It's just about, saying what you graduated in, just hit the nail on the head, 2 sentences maximum, just to say what you're doing currently, your major, and, what you're interested in, not, something vague like an ambitious new graduate looking to, have an opportunity in an environment where I can grow and, it's nice, but then, so leaving off irrelevant work, that is some job you see as irrelevant, but it's interesting because moving to Canada, I realized that the jobs we seem like that, maybe we coming from, back home, you feel like it's irrelevant. Those are the kind of jobs those are the kind of experience that an hiring manager said, I'm like, you know what, I'll hire this person. But as a newcomer here, if I wanted to, do my resume, I wouldn't want to put that. I'm like, who cares if I worked at Starbucks? Like, how does that have to do with HR? Or who cares if, I was working, somewhere else, maybe totally unrelated. But those are the kind of things that we want to see. If you go to LinkedIn to see people's profile, and I'm like, how do you go from sales rep to, account clerk, or how do you go for sales rep to financial payroll representative? I can't marry it in my head. But then when I start, to have the experience in-house, I'm thinking like, oh, like those things really do matter, because as a sales rep, you already interact with people. Sometimes if you're the supervisor, conflict management, you settle, disputes between maybe your, team members, you talk to customers, difficult customers, and sometimes those are like the skills that they're looking for on the role. So those things that you may deem irrelevant are like the things that, people want to see, like people looking at your resume want to see. And also ghost templates, meaning you put something in AI, you don't take time to kind of remove the bracket, like insert company name, date, and those kind of things. Yeah, we see that sometimes. So it could be off-putting, but then, it's just mistake, and anybody can make mistakes. So that's where the bias also come in. Like some people can't take it. Like, why do you have to make mistakes? But me personally, I feel like it's just a mistake. It doesn't really say whether the person is, skillful on the job or not. So okay, so tailoring your academic experience the right way. So since you don't have years of corporate experience, your coursework and academic projects are like the T for you on your resume. So you want to treat capstone projects like jobs. So you want to create section for your resume called selected academic projects or applied case studies, or however you want to put that part. But you should create a session where all of the projects that you've done, or sometimes it may not even be a school project, it could be something you do by yourself. Like give yourself the project, do it and put it on your resume. I've seen people do that. Like maybe they want to do maybe an app or something. Like I've not done anything similar. They just create they just create it. Like I know my husband one time he wanted to do this Power BI, this thing, and he created like a grocery list for me, like an app that I use for my grocery list, and that was his project. And, so sometimes I learned that you don't really need to have the project. You can create that project yourself, and it definitely works. Then translate school speak to business speak. So don't just list the course name. Use action verbs to describe the work. Instead of took advanced statistics class, you can just use an explanation to let them know how exactly you did that. That's important if an ATS is going to be screening through your resume, because ATS, application tracking system, it works through keywords. So the keywords are there at the back end that have been programmed, so you wouldn't know what keywords you're looking for. There are some websites that can actually help you to generate keywords from a job post. So you could use that as well. So once you put the job posting into the website, it extracts all of the keywords for you. So you have to go one by one to ensure that at least 80-90% of the keywords, you put it into your resume, and somehow the ATS may be able to catch your resume that way. So mirror the entry-level job posting. So if the job description mentions data entry or presentation skills, make sure your project bullet explicitly highlight times you built databases or presented findings to a panel, because again, ATS. So the struggle is real here, because more than half of the companies use AI actually for their screening, pre-selection for the candidates, because they get tons and tons of applications, and really there's no how a recruiter can do it if they don't use AI. But then the recruiter still goes in person to check those resumes. So sometimes some people are lucky because somebody just goes through that resume. Maybe she's just less busy and she decides to just scroll through, right? So you just want to put yourself in that position where, okay, if the recruiter looks at my resume, does it look good? Or even if the ATS, if it goes through the ATS, am I still able to get in? Is a race between we and the ATS this time. So I'll reiterate, a lot of times it's not because we don't have the qualification or we are not good enough. Of course, I always think we are always good enough, and even maybe not good enough, in terms of maybe having the right skill at that point for that role, but there's always room to grow and learn. Like I said, anything can be taught. So most importantly, what we look out for, I can speak for like my own team, is you being able to grow into that role, you being open to learnings, because we always like people that are open to learnings, because when you work in a very high, like, volatile environments, we like people that can learn, that can change actions and open to change, rather than you bent in your own head, like, I have PhD or what have you. Then what culture fit mean? Okay, so for new graduates, culture fit translates directly to, are you eager to learn and easy to coach and being collaborative? So it means you being able to adapt to different, like the company's culture now. So you have to find out what the company's culture is, the value, their values and all of that. And when you have interviews, you should put in like those words in it. It kind of helps because it feels like, okay, you've done your homework, and the hiring team are always happy when people already have their background knowledge about the company. They speak to their most recent project, they speak to the values, they speak to their aspirations or goals in the next 10 years. It just means you've definitely done your own assignment, and it feels like culture fit to them. Then how to demonstrate it is to show passion for the mission and also the group project test. That is, be ready for the question. So the question is, you ask the hiring team questions about their own culture to be able to see, how that is for you in terms of your own vision as well. Sometimes culture may not necessarily align with you. You don't know. But then it's good to always, understand the company and their culture and values for you to be able to speak to it at the interview. Then entry-level interview and what the hiring team are actually assessing. They're just trying to see your soft skills, problem-solving skills, and reliability. Reliability in terms of, will this person stay? For early careers, that's very important for us because we don't want to hire you now and you leave in the next 1 year because we're investing in you. Sometimes it's a brand new experience for you, like you don't have industry experience. So if we take that time to, develop your career in that line, we want you to be able to stay. And we've had a few initiatives for that we are able to, people that have worked with us once as students, we call them back because they've shown that they want to stay and they've shown that they're reliable. So we call them back to work for us. And also resourcefulness and energy and curiosity. For new grad, we always expect that, they're always curious. The body language is enthusiastic and everything because you're just happy for, the next big thing, so to speak, that's happening in your career. Okay, cracking the hidden job markets and campus networks. I just want to mention that campus networking is very important. That is, even if you're out of school, because these companies, the ones that they mentioned earlier, they always go to campuses. They always do campus outreach. They go to professional organizations to, preach because they need people. So you should take advantage of that. Also the hidden market, that's where who we are competing with. That is, the career fairs where you can, talk to the recruiter directly to tell them what do you need exactly on this role and how do you think I can hit this role. They tell you directly, and also alumni referrals from your school, and also you can reach out to the people working already in that department. Like we, for instance, at OPG, the Nigerians in OPG, we have a goal to say we want to flood this place with Nigerians. That is our own goal. So I've seen a couple of people that just through LinkedIn, they were able to get in because coincidentally, the person happened to know the hiring manager and, a word or two was spoken and they got an interview and they are in just by LinkedIn alone. So at the end of the day, we may get a lot of no's because, to be honest, I've seen people saying, you know what, I can't read all my LinkedIn messages because their recruiters is normal. They get loads and loads of emails, texts, LinkedIn and all of that. But sometimes that one person that you see, you can just go through this person, okay, works in this department and I've applied to it and, so I'll just rush through. I have just, so building a personal brand. So building a personal brand, that would be LinkedIn definitely because that's where everybody goes to. And it's very important in terms of you creating your LinkedIn page in a way that, of course, it still shows you being an early grad, but at the same time, it just shows what you're interested in terms of your headline. And like I said, like instead of putting student at X university, you can change it to a finance graduate. You can put your interest and all of that. It's, when somebody's looking at it, if it aligns for them, they'll definitely reach out to you. What you can do to stand out: arrive with a strategy plan. That's the interview. Target micro internships and be the first to apply. Meaning when certain job alerts, that is very important. So you can just go out to see like the 10 companies you envision yourself that you want to work with and set job alerts for everything. Applying on time, meaning that is the time you get a recruiter, because a day, 2 days, the recruiter could actually still be, looking at those resumes. But after 3 days, you just be like, okay, let the AI do the rest for me. So applying on time really works. Okay. So that being said, thank you very much for having me, and I wish you success.
Thank you so much, Adironke, for that wonderful speech, the wonderful tips and thoughts that you've brought up in our minds. How is everyone feeling right now? How are we all feeling? Good? I love that. So we're going into another wonderful portion of the program. We're having our panel session. Just some housekeeping items for the day. If you're new to this space, understand that our washrooms are to the back and left of the hall. That's my left, your right. And I've also been told that we need to clap as I introduce our guest speakers, because if we do not clap, I won't be able to introduce the next person, okay? So today we have like 6 panelists, wonderful people, and they're going to share their thoughts on some of the questions. And how many of us have phones here? Can I see your phone? This is my phone. Can I see your phone? I would like you to just look into your phone, make sure it's on silent or vibrate. We do not want to disturb the panelists as they speak. And the last housekeeping item is that this conversation is not only for me, it's for every one of us. And I would like you to go on Slido, scan the QR code, or go on Slido and type 2109595, slido.com, type 2109595, or scan the QR code, whatever suits you. Let's take a deep breath. And the deep breath is not for you, it's really for me. I'm just going to introduce our speakers right now. And again, the rule is we have to clap. We have to clap for them. The first person, and it's in no particular order. So as I mention your name, please feel free to sit on any of the gray chairs, not that black chair, that's mine. We have today with us Alan Akisami. Yay! Alan has a decade and a half of hands-on experience in information security, cybersecurity frameworks, security technology implementation, and operations across the private and public sector. Clap again, please. Yay! Next on our list, we have Solomon Asonye, Chief Engineer at Transport Canada. He currently serves at the Transport Canada's Rail Safety and Security branch and has built his career at the intersection of engineering, policy, and innovation. Yay! The next person we have on our list is Adironke Imam, who has just spoken with us. Adironke is a human resource consultant at OPG. Adironke is passionate about helping individuals navigate career pathways in human resources and supporting the development of inclusive, high-performing workplaces. The next person on our list is no other Fumi Okondo. Fumi Okondo is currently a registered practical nurse, currently serving at Kotolichi Vaughan Hospital. Through her experience in healthcare, she hopes to inspire others by sharing her journey of perseverance, lifelong learning, and dedication to serving the community. Can we clap again? Thank you so much. Next on our list, we have Jacqueline Chi. Jacqueline Chi is a controller at APA Power. Beyond her professional work, Jacqueline is deeply committed to mentorship, continuous learning, and using her skills to create meaningful, positive impact within both business and communities. Yay! And last but not the least, we have Sona Okoma. I hope I pronounced that well. But Sona Okoma is a construction project executive. Over the course of his career, he has developed a strong passion for leadership, mentorship, and professional development within the engineering and construction industry. Thank you so much, everyone. Do we have our mics on? Can we try to see if it's working, please?
Hello.
Check.
Nice.
Hello?
Test, test.
Test.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I have a question. I have many questions, of course, but I have one particular question. And my first question, and let me just go to my notes app. So my notes app, the first question is, could you tell us your why? And this is for everyone to answer. Could you tell us your why? What inspired your career journey? And what keeps you motivated today? Anyone can go. Would you like to go?
Good day, everyone. My name is Fumi Kondo. I'll say my why is I know right from the onset, I've always been an emotional person. I am I'm easily impressed, and I am quick to help people, mostly in their most vulnerable states. And to be honest with you, I came to this country about 10 years ago, and all my life back in my country, I work in the energy company. I did social sciences, I did geography, and I found myself in energy companies, so I had to go back to school to do marketing, and I was there for 15 years of my life. So deep down, I knew I'm a people person, right? So when I came to Canada, I found out that thing in me, came out. And to be honest with you, I started that with my mom, things she was really sick then, and, things I did not even know I could do. I found myself doing that. And, that kind of, brought out the why in me, the reason why I found myself in the profession where I am today. And looking back now, I'm just so grateful to God for the opportunity. I thank God for the knowledge, the wisdom, the grace to be focused and believe in yourself you can do it, and, going right ahead to do it. Because I tell you, nothing good is easy, but it's easier when you do what you love to do. So I find myself in that shoe, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, do we just go like this? Let's keep it within 2-3 minutes. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. So the why for me, okay, I'll go by, I'll use some of your words. So naturally, I'm a people person. So I'm quite emotional, and in terms of, having to feel people's, pain, so to speak, sympathy, and all of that. And back home, I was doing HR in the energy industry, and I came here, and though my first job was HR as well, but with NGO, and it was First Nations, and it was really where you have to use a lot of empathy in having to, work with all of the HR policies and everything. Then now I'm back in the energy industry. HR is more about, supporting people. It's different, like I mentioned earlier, it's different the way we practice it back home. Here is more about supporting people, setting them up for success, having to develop the career, and, just making people effective, and while at the same time supporting or, not letting the company reputation tarnish. So it's actually been in that middle and trying to, work for both sides. So for me, the why is just, naturally this position, my job kind of puts me in that middle, being able to look out for people, which is something I genuinely like to do because, like I said, HR is really broad. So I deal with some really sensitive cases, and I feel like, I'm very happy to, be that person everybody comes to be able to resolve people's issues when, imagine being in, maybe a disciplinary interview, for instance, and the person you're asking the why, and the person, why have you, and somebody is saying like, somebody committed suicide, and, those kind of things you hear, and you just, take a moment to soak it in yourself, or maybe, the days you are the bad guys, you're terminating somebody and the person is just crying, laying on the floor, and you're like, oh my God, what have I done? But still being able to help that person in that moment, because definitely it's not you terminating, it's the company, but
Right.
being able to just still have that, empathy for that person in that moment, just showing up for people, making people have that trust in you, believe in you, that, you can help them to achieve success. So that's the why for me.
Thank you so much. Alan. Oh, feel free to
Yes.
clap. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the clapping.
Why for me is money. but
Know where the money is.
but exactly, I feel money out. Jokes aside, thank you. What really got me into the cybersecurity space? Initially, it wasn't cybersecurity. While I was young, I was drawn to computers, and so my first degree was in computer science, and then NYC came. I worked with an organization that certified First Bank in ISO 27001. First Bank was the first bank to have it in Nigeria at the time. And one of the things they were looking out for was some of the little things that people do within the organization to improve security. And as silly as it might sound, it was making sure there is authentication associated with your print information or your document, the document you're printing, which means if I send an information to the printer, I should be the only one to be able to pick it from the printer. Because again, HR, for example, can send sensitive information to the printer that everyone has access to. Now someone else speaks and have access to information that they shouldn't. So that was the first organization that gave me my why, or gave me the reason to get into cybersecurity. We did a certification, and then it was time for my postgraduate. I, of course, went with cybersecurity. And since then, I have stayed in the space. And of course, at every stage, your why changes. And once I got into cybersecurity, found how broad it was, my why to continue, it then became that self-actualization. I found that it was an environment I was good at, or I was comfortable at, and then eventually to the point, and what was presented earlier, which was follow the money. There were surveys and there were information around how cybersecurity had a lot of on-field positions, which means a lot stayed open for a long time. And of course, with that, my why then shifted to, okay, yes, I'm in this space, the pay is good, why not help other folks get into the space? And so every now and then my why has shifted, but what triggered it, of course, was being in an environment that gave me insight into how these things are done. And the money too is great, so
Yes.
I stayed.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll steal a little bit of what you said. My why, I wouldn't say has changed, but it's become clearer over time. I think that's what you notice. I know the audience here, or at least the audience is a little bit for like new grads, people that are coming to the industry. So your why might not be as at the same level that I'm at. My why keeps being redefined for me as I go. But I'll say the way I kind of explain it has to do with impact. From when I started my career, when you're starting, you don't call it a career. You just want to work. You just want to get into the thing. So referring to it as a career now is a little bit it's different. But its impact, where from when I was young, I'm Nigerian, so if you're Nigerian, you understand the impact of light. So when I was young, I understood how people felt different when there's light on your street compared when there's no light. Like it's like life changing. And I didn't think about it as impact at that time, but now I see it that way is where can I be where I can create the most impact for the people around me. And also there's a selfish part to it that when you create impact for people, you also feel good. I'm not gonna lie about that.
That's true.
So for me, it's always been about impact, being at a place where and being in a role, not in a place, but being able to apply yourself to a place where you can create impact for your people around you, generations around you, and people around you. So for me, it's always been impact. So I'll stop there.
Thank you so much for that.
Testing.
Yeah.
My why has evolved a lot over the years as well from the beginning. I came from a low-income family, single parent, so my why before was just survival. I chose accounting because I thought it was safe. I had watched my mom go through a lot of layoffs, and I thought in economic downturn, or when it's thriving, everyone needs accountants.
Right.
So mine was just a safe, it was the safe choice. And I didn't really know how broad accounting really is. So it was kind of like just get into something. Thankfully, I had a lot of co-op terms throughout my college program, and so I got hands-on experience. And then I was able to work full-time from one of the ones that had hired me last. And from there, it was just trying to learn as much as possible, do everything. There was, if someone doesn't like doing it, I'll take it on.
Nice.
So just to learn and grow as much as possible. And I did all of my schooling full-time while working full-time as well. So, and it was difficult, and there was a lot of imposter syndrome and a lot of tears cried. But I got to the controller position, where I got to manage a team and see how much what I do and the impact I can have on my team is. And that's really shaped into I love being helpful. I love doing things to help others achieve their goals. And even for my team, it was never just here, get the job done. It was, how do I help you grow professionally and personally, and make it a very positive work environment. And now my why, I've taken a step back from controllership, and I've realized having that time away, I've been able to think through my values so that when I look at what I want to do next, that it aligns with my values, what agrees with me. I want to make an impact as well. And I've also been able to identify through everything that I've done what drains me and what fuels me. And I know now that what I really like doing, what supercharges me, is making things more efficient. And I'm really good at translating accounting with systems and operation, kind of putting it all together so that it makes everything more efficient for everyone, more accurate and more reliable. So the next part of my career will likely be consulting in that space.
Good to hear. Thank you so much. Clap, 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 clap. You might have to turn it on.
Okay, I think it's good now. My why revolves around legacy. My father was, or is, an engineer. He's a civil engineer. I grew up in that pathway, application of science, saw things applied. Was blessed enough to start practicing early. Because of him, started going to sites, seeing things for myself. Went into consulting. Consulting is a lot of designs. So you have a building, you design it, you have a road, you design it. And consulting started becoming some kind of, I wouldn't say boring, but not challenging. And I was like, well, the construction portion of it is where the fun things happen. In consulting, you design it and you draw it on paper. What I work so not is for the construction team to figure out. And I'm like, okay, let's go into the construction. And going into construction, having a background of the consultant was highly game-changing.
Right.
Because not just the fact that I'm building this, I understand why it was designed that way. So I have the knowledge or the skill set to play around with science and its application to achieve the same goal efficiently, possibly deviating from design and getting an approval based on the fact that you're knowledgeable enough. And then I ventured into construction, and I figured out that, oh, construction is great, but project management is a different game.
Right.
And I went into project management, ICI, and as you keep growing, you start realizing that while your passion is great, profitability from your passion is even better. So from ICIs, moved into nuclear industry, and from the nuclear industry, currently work in the data center industry. So following the money.
Hallelujah. Thank you so much, everybody. I think something that stood out to me from what everybody has shared right now, no one was really talking about my why is because I have the technical skills. It was because I have people skills. I want to make impact. So I just want the audience to know that you don't necessarily, you can learn the technical skills, you can learn whatever skills, but having your why and pushing through you'll succeed, you'll get wherever you want to get. And follow the money. Follow the money. Thank you so much. I think for the next question, I want to apologize in advance, just because of our time. We might not be able to take every single person for each of the questions, so thank you for understanding. My next question is, in today's highly competitive and oversaturated job market, how do you position yourself to stand out and remain relevant? And I want to start from that side of the line. Anyone can go, maybe 3 people, go ahead. 2 to 3 minutes, thank you, 2 to 3 minutes.
All right, about positioning yourself, the first thing most organizations, just so you know, every organization or every business out there that is advertising to hire people is advertising because they are profitable. So it all boils down to profitability of the company. In order to be profitable, people have efficiently figured out that we hire the experienced people who are very expensive, and the people who are willing to learn, who are less expensive, and we can train them through the ranks, is more efficient for the company. So 1, you have to be humble. 2, you have to be hungry. 3, you have to be smart. Humble is that no matter what you know, your degree, your schooling, your education, everything is a minimum requirement to get into the job market. It's not the requirement. No matter what you know, take it aside, you're going to learn on the job.
Right.
Set that aside, be humble enough to be willing to learn. Be hungry, be willing to do what it takes to learn. And be smart, be emotionally intelligent, understand the cues, understand what is going on. Beyond, and most of the people on the panel here will tell you that it gets to a point where it's not just about your technical skills, but your ability to now manage people and navigate people, basically. So again, according to Patrick Lencioni, stay humble, stay hungry, and stay smart.
HHS. Any other takers? Okay, go ahead.
Hey, I'll jump in a little bit. For me, is being able to apply yourself. The way I look at it is that nobody has the same journey as you. So usually the people that are competitive are people that have a bunch of different skill sets that they can merge together. And usually you can't find a couple of people that have the same thing. So I always tell people, like, live your life, which is in whatever stage you are in your life right now, make sure that you're learning from it. So when the time comes, you're able to say, oh, I can apply be it people skills, like he was saying, like when I interview people, I almost never test their technical skills because I can figure out your technical skills in like 3 minutes. It's not hard to figure out. It's really, who are you as a person? Which means, are you able, and it's a combination of things. What have you done? Like I was reading an article the other day that said, someone said that he only hires people that have worked as a waiter before, no matter what you do. Like you must have worked as a waiter. So if you're working as a waiter right now, you're thinking, oh, this is not where I want to be. But that's the skill set that people need. So for me, for you to be competitive, it's usually people that have an intersection of 2, 3, 4, 5 different type of skill set that they can leverage. And it's a unique skill set because nobody goes and picks up those 5 different skill sets. You don't have enough time in your life. So for me, it's being able to at least express the combination of those skill sets that you have. So that's it.
Thank you so much. Any other takers?
Yeah, I can take just one more point, and I think and the two panelists have hit the nail on the head. But one of the things that I wanted to add to it is being willing to unlearn. And I think a lot of times we're stuck in our ways of doing things. We've seen it work in the past, especially like my industry. It's in cybersecurity, things are constantly evolving. For example, there are also, one of the things you also learn is, yes, there are the theory aspects of things. What it says in the book is not in practice what it actually is. So a lot of times, you find folks that are stuck with what they learn from the books. But this is practice. This is this organization. But this is how we do things. So one of the things that I want to encourage folks is be open to, which is one of the things that I be humble enough to unlearn certain things, because it will go a long way, being able to unlearn things that are no longer relevant.
Right. Jacqueline, do you want to go? Uh-oh.
Hello.
Yay.
There you go. In addition to everything that they said, like you guys hit it on nail on the head with that, is to stand out. First is your resume. Put the time and effort into it. It's the first piece of work you're submitting to that company, essentially. You don't want AI to just create it and you blanket send it out. Put the time and care into it. Make sure it reflects accurately what your skills are. Even if you don't have a lot of experience, just make it look as good as possible. Make it consistent, error-free, because it's basically the document that you use to sell your skills to someone, why they should hire you. And then if you get the interview, go in with confidence. Like, don't be scared and shy or whatever. Show your true self, so that they can see who you are and show that you apply yourself, show that you take initiative. Because that matters more than the technical skills you have. I never looked at what the technical skills was because I know I can train them. But I needed someone who can come in, be hungry, be humble, willing to learn, take initiative, and just do the job, because you can learn on the job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Clap for them. I think one thing that stood out to me is learn from your experiences, be humble, be hungry, be smart. I know this show is not about me, it's about them, but I remember the fact that I was able to work as a peer support assistant at UOIT actually just shot me into healthcare, with my healthcare background, of course. I was able to start working as a coordinator, and now I'm a project manager. So you can legit use every experience that you have to move forward in life. The next question, I don't know. Does everybody know that we have a Slido link that they can add their questions to? A QR code will just show up soon. You can also go to slido.com and type 2109595, 2109595. The next question is from Slido, and I'll give it to people that have not spoken so far. What is one red flag students should avoid in interviews? What is one red flag that students should avoid? I know you've given us a lot of tips in your previous talk, but opening it up to the panelists again. Any takers?
Yay. Red flag. In my own little experience, I'll say if you're going for an interview, I will expect you to be well prepared. Like, it shouldn't be, yeah, money is good and, but you shouldn't be too interested in the money, at least at first. Everybody likes money, right? But it shouldn't be the main focus here, You should be prepared and confident. And your soft skills matters. So I would say the red flag for me is, being too anxious about how much is the pay, how much they pay you and stuff like that. They should be able to see the passion, just like she said, they want to invest in someone that is reliable, someone that can take the company, the organization to the next level. Right. So let them see that in you. Let them see the passion. Let them see the commitment. Let them see your real interest, and that should show up in how well you know your company. You know the company that wants to give the interview. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other takers?
Yeah.
Upvote, I'm so sorry. Upvote questions that you like on Slido. You have the ability to upvote questions, so I know that is what you want, or else I'm just going to pick what I want. Joking. Go ahead.
All right. One thing to take note, in addition to what she said, is we're making a bunch of assumptions right now. One of the assumptions is that your resume is good. The second assumption is that you were able to go through the first phone interview, and right now you're in front of the hiring manager, and you have 1 hour to sell yourself. Understand also that when you start working in that place, you're spending most of your day in that place. One of the major red flags is appearing in an interview without understanding what the company does.
Right.
So you're showing up, you have no clue, you just know about your role, you know what you're supposed to be doing, but you don't know what the company does. Secondly, if you cannot communicate and add humor, one of the things that I find works is, at some point, at the end of the interview, once everyone is done, so who's taking me out for lunch today? It sounds funny, but it's something that the hiring manager will pause and you're going to really take it up and are you saying you guys are not going out for lunch? You guys don't go out, no team building? It's funny, but it's something that will make me want to say, okay, I want to really pay attention to this person. Those are you're not just completely formal. Understand that most of your day moving forward when you join the organization, you're spending that time with them. So they want to make sure that a team member that's joining that team is a fit to the culture. So if you don't understand the company, you don't even understand the organizational cultural values, you should not be taking that interview.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
I think I would like to add something. So yes, preparedness is something that's very important because, it just shows that you've gone ahead of your time to, and again, to buttress what he said, understanding social cues as well, very, very important, especially in this in this place that we live. Understanding social cues is very important. You're able to catch a joke, and you're not just hurrying to, the question, because usually it starts, very soft. They want to see that your culture fit exactly, because the culture here is all about you, interfering with somebody, open to small talks and all of that. So we want to see it in you. So if you're hurriedly answering questions that you feel that it doesn't have to do with why you're here, it kind of, is giving us, okay, maybe this person can't even sit in a meeting for an hour and just, discuss something else that's not even what we are prepared to discuss yet, to wait for on somebody, maybe, so sometimes understanding social cues is very important as well, yes, and preparedness. So you should be able to say something that shows that you really did your homework. Like, you could go to YouTube to check if they have a recent, marketing stuff out there, and you could use that in your discussions. Like,
Right.
just go to their YouTube, see what the latest ad. You could be like, oh, I was just watching YouTube and, the advert showed that. I'm like, oh, wow, I would like to work for this company, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what advert is that? Like, oh, the one that had blah, blah, blah. And
And
like,
they probably don't
"Oh."
know.
Exactly. They don't, and they're like, oh, really? Like, oh, I loved it. And, so, yeah, social cues is very, very important, like, very important. You should be able to catch humor, understand, have emotional intelligence for situations that requires emotional intelligence. Yep.
Thank you so much. So I prepared some questions for them, but I see how the conversation is going, and I see that people are upvoting questions on Slido. So I'll give the audience the next question. And Jacqueline, I heard a little birdie told me that you hired a team at some point. So I want to ask you this question, and of course I open it up to the rest of the panelists. Within ATS, how do I tailor my resume so it doesn't seem like I copied the job description? I don't know. Are you able to give us that answer? We can come back to you.
I guess it depends how it's laid out. There's specific language that is very AI, like
sure.
it looks like AI. Making sure you have keywords from the job description is not a bad thing. It's how you're using it. So don't just put a blanket statement that's like, try to use an example here. But you want like impact statements. You want like what action did you, like what result came from like an action that you took, or what benefit you gave to the company. Don't just list tasks like I did this, I did that, But like if you say like I implemented a credit card system that reduced cost, increased efficiency, that kind of thing. Put reasons behind what you did.
Right. Action-oriented bullet points.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any other takers? Did that hit people from like when you blindsided
I
by
don't.
that?
Usually when it gets to me, it's got like I don't do the ATS parts. I'm the hiring person, so like I have
Maybe
no
I'll
experience
take
there.
that.
Okay,
then.
go ahead.
Okay. Like I said, it's AI. The ATS system is programmed in a way that, we just input like a couple of keywords. So it's possible we are doing 10 keywords and you have just 6. The system wouldn't catch it. So it's you fighting against a computer pretty much. So like I said, it's not about what you don't have. It's about you fighting against a computer. So sometimes we've talked about, we've had discussions about should we actually be using AI? And is AI that, So before it gets to the bosses, pretty much the computer is the one doing the first round. That's why I spoke about you, intentionally reaching out to recruiters. That is one way you can skip the ATS as well. You reaching out to people working in that company. That is a way you can skip that ATS. So, they add you to the ATS groups as well. So and again, the ATS is clean formatting. If it's in PDF, in maybe Word, and it's kind of, the formatting is not good, it wouldn't catch it as well. So now it's not even about you not knowing, and not putting in nice keywords or something.
Right.
It's about formatting, meaning, maybe it's just going one way, or it's just going, because some people use their phone to edit their resume. On the go, I really want to apply for this
Right.
job. Today is the last day, but it just gets somehow, and, the ATS wouldn't catch it. So it's just computer pretty much. So it's not about, so sometimes don't fault yourself because it's not you, I would always repeat that. It's just you, against the computer. I've seen people with the same resume, they applied for 3 years before they could get, a call. What did they do different?
Probably nothing.
It's the same thing.
Right.
It's the same thing. So, and again, sometimes questions comes in along with the application. So at least you should be, like sometimes it's programmed in a way, if you get 60% of the question, if it's yes, so you wouldn't know what they want yes or no for, would you? Some questions come alongside, like if you want to end your application, are you this? Yes. Are you this? No. Do you have this? Do you have this? So sometimes if you have 6/10, pass along. It's just about system. So that's another thing I'd like to say.
One other thing I found that actually helps with supplementing the resume is having like LinkedIn recommendations from people written about you. Because the first thing that they'll do if you have a LinkedIn link on your resume is go to your LinkedIn page and then see if anyone's written recommendations. That goes a long way.
Thank you so much. That will be the last comment.
One of the things mentioned in terms of one of the things I wanted to mention in terms of what to do or what I have done in the past a lot of times is in the job description as well. Because one of the things I've noticed as well, sometimes the HR, it's the hiring manager that gives the job description and then some of the keywords, the HR who I liked. If you read through the job description as well, you can almost tell some of the things that they care about in those in the job description. So one of the things is I go through the job description. For myself, I liked those things they seem to care about and infuse that into my job description. Specifically use those words, those phrases that they've used. Because I have the computer background, computers are garbage in, garbage out. So in as much, even, for example, spelling. Now, HR has put CISSP, for example, in one of the criterias, but in your resume, you mistakenly put CISP and missed the S. Even though you have that requirement, it will not pick it. So it's been intentional, even in the spelling of certain things, be it the British or the American way of doing things. Be intentional about those things and make sure you're using those keywords in your resume to submit it. That way you get past the ATS.
Thank you so much. No, my mic is not working. Sorry. No, my mic is not working. Are we learning so far? Raise your hands up. Let me see. Oh, you're not learning. I'm joking. Okay. So we're in church. Many of us are Christians. Most of us are Christians here. Sorry. Okay. Most of us are Christians here. So my next question is about faith, Christianity. So my question is, how is faith central to your work, your career decision, and how do you balance spirituality with excellence, ambition, and confidence in your workplace? And the reason I ask this question is because sometimes some of us have been taught to be overly humble, keep your head low, do the work. Maybe at some point you get the promotion or whatever. And so how do we balance that? I've heard a lot of unlearning. I heard that we should unlearn so far. So maybe that's one point. But what do we think? How do we balance faith, spirituality with excellence, ambition, confidence in the workplace?
First, there is nothing new under the sun. There is no position that you currently handle or or you would handle in the future that you're the first person to attain that position. That is one. I personally draw a lot of parallels from the Bible. No matter how busy I am, I'm not as busy as David, who was a king, and still had time to praise 7 times a day. I don't know how he did it. Daniel still consulted for the king and prayed 3 times a day. One of the things I found is I set a structure in place. So once you have a system, everything kind of falls in line. Faith is consecration and communication and devotion to God. In that, it's like meditation, put it that way. When your head is clear and you're worshiping or praying, you could connect 2 different things that don't make sense. In the workplace, excellence and ambition, excellence is geared towards outstanding value. The ability to provide outstanding value, that is excellence. A value could be a solution, it could be something, but the fact that it's outstanding and it's valuable is excellence. Now, in the field, strive to be an expert. The definition of an expert or a professional is someone who has spent 10,000 hours doing a particular or a kind of thing. So if you're working on something and you spent over 10,000 hours, you're considered a professional. That is one. Strive to be a professional. 2, you're paid higher or your ambition grows when, as a professional, you're able to provide excellence within a short period of time. 3, your ability to strategize differently and implement the results within a short period of time is what sets you apart. So why I say all these things is, if you go through the Bible, I study the Bible a lot. When you go through it, I draw parallels from the likes of Daniel. There are things that don't make sense. I could give you an example. Currently, one of the jobs I'm working on right now, we have outstanding change orders, put it that way, and change orders to the tune of, I want to say, 31 million USD, and we're still doing the work. Everyone on this panel will tell you that you don't do such kind of things. But the strategy was deliver XYZ and force payment for the remaining. The strategy did not make sense at the time of implementation. But at this point of realization, everyone is like, yeah, it kind of makes, thinking about it in hindsight, that hindsight is faith. That hindsight is faith. We get to live once, and I'm not a gambling man. I don't want to take chances. So I take calculated risks by going to God, who knows the perfect plan, and committing myself to Him and letting Him direct. Now, one thing to pay attention to is, once you pray, you study, stay to understand the how. The fact that you know you're going to that door doesn't mean you're going to get to that door. You need to understand the how. And again, there has to be a balance. If you are supposed to be working and you're praying, sorry, it's counterproductive. We are all Christians. Well, most of us are Christians. But I'm sorry to say it this way, but you're wasting your time. If you cannot channel and have a structure and be productive when you are supposed to be productive, and focus on God when you are supposed to focus on God, then you're being counterproductive.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other takers? I want to throw it out to the audience right now. Does anyone have any question? Someone with a mic? Okay, go ahead. We have someone in front in green.
I just want to add my thought to, faith and the impact of faith in our career. And, like my brother said, it's very important to, as Christians, there are so many times that I've had difficulty at work, and just praying about it and telling God that this thing is confusing. I get an idea and it's laudable. And sometimes we think that, does God know about software development or cybersecurity? No, but there is something that drops in your spirit that makes a difference. God is not a software developer, neither is he a cybersecurity expert, but his own expertise is beyond all of this. And just a single idea that drops in your mind, everyone goes like, oh, how did you think about that? It could only have been God. So we can't take away the place of prayer, the place of even praying for your colleagues,
True.
the people that you work with. I've learned that over time, and I pray for all my team members that whatever you're having at home, so that when you come to work, you're energized and you're ready for work, not to give anyone any problem. So we cannot overemphasize the place of prayer and, asking the Holy Spirit for help at all.
Thank you so much. I think we have someone at the end there, and we'll move on to the next question. Thank you for bearing with me.
So I like that you asked that question. So when it comes to, so I would, thank you, Sister Toke, for that. I would focus on the area of job application and how my faith has played in. So, and I'm going to give a very short story, and I will try and make it very short.
In 2 minutes, everything in 2 minutes, thank you.
Yes, I will. So there was this job application that I had done. That was December 2019. So it was a contract role. I had done the interview. I was like, Mommy, I think I did well in this interview. Went well, everything was okay. And then voila, I didn't hear anything. Now it was supposed to be a contract role. Fast forward to 8 months later, my brother said, okay, apply. So I saw that they uploaded the picture again, the job again, in the, maybe July of the next year, 2020. I said I wasn't going to apply. When I asked the manager for feedback, he said I wasn't a cultural fit, so I'm not going to apply. My brother said, go again. Pray and go again. That simple nudge got me that job. And I went again. I asked questions, okay, what had happened with the first interview? How can I do better in the next one? And to cut the long story short, that prayer and that simple nudge from my brother got me a foot on the door, and I was able to get that job. So now, fast forward to any interview I have, I don't go to an interview without scabash, we have to speak in tongues and we have to dance to God because it has to come out right. So those things are very important. And we are people of faith, so we should not act like we should put that extra sauce in everything that we're doing. So I don't, even to the point of application, I sit on it, I try to understand, why am I applying for this job? Pray about it. Is this what I'm supposed to be doing right now? So our faith should not be by the side while our career is no. In fact, the faith goes forward, then the career goes behind it. And that's my take on this. Thank you.
Thank you. I know I said that was the last response, but our pastor, our pastor wants to talk.
No, I just want to add to what has been said concerning faith and job excellence and everything. From the other side, I noticed that a lot of believers struggle with knowing how to be proud of what they are doing. Right. And it's from the standpoint of, the fruit of the Spirit is humility. Humility. Right. And even at work, for position, the politics, they don't know how to play it, And just to let you know that what you do in church is the rules in church is quite different from the rules in the secular world. So you have to learn the game. You can't be a politician and say that you don't know what to campaign about, that you just get to the campaign field and say that don't worry, God will take control. You have to learn the rules of the game. There's a book I would recommend for us to read, The Art of Tooting Your Horn Without Blowing Your Horn. It's a book that I would recommend. There's a way for you to brag without being proud or arrogant about what you do. And that is what sometimes makes the difference between someone who is promoted, someone who is hired, and a person who is not hired. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, sir. I think the next question is, again, from Slido. It's an ethical question, and the question says, is it advisable to change job titles to match the hiring role? So let's say I worked as a peer support assistant. Should I change that to coordinator just to match the role I'm applying for? What's your take? Solomon, I see you're thinking. Go ahead.
For me, it's not that big of a deal, to be quite honest, because I don't look at your job title. It's what you did. So if you change coordinator to something similar, I'm not really asking you about that. I'm going to ask you about what you did. And as long as you're able to express to me or explain.
Okay.
As long as you're able to express that and explain what you did, I don't think the title itself is a big thing. Now, if you're not a doctor and you're saying a doctor, now that's a different thing. But I think it's similar. To me, it's not that big.
Okay, I want to push a little bit before you talk. should I tweak some of the things I did in my role and make it look bigger than it was? Oh my God.
There's nothing wrong with embellishing, in my opinion. There's a thin line between embellishing and lying. You can definitely embellish. You can. For the people online. Yeah. Oh, sorry, people online. Yeah, I think you can embellish. I think that sometimes actually people in our community we don't embellish well enough. So there's nothing wrong with embellishing. Don't lie. If you lie, eventually you're going to get caught. So that's often a good idea. But embellishing, like speak. I think it's part of who you are. Like if you're able to tell your story, being a good storyteller has to do with embellishing. So I think you should embellish if you can.
I am not going to lie. I'm actually shocked by that response. Go ahead, Adiroke.
Okay, so from my own point of view, embellishment, it depends. Like, if you don't blow your horn, who would help you blow it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you can use English to package what you've done to look like, oh, nice. In terms of changing name, this is actually tricky because for us, for instance, we do like a complete security clearance. Like you get the highest level of security clearance anybody can do in Canada. That's what every individual has to go through before you start to work with us. So sometimes some of these things are the things that we look out for. So if they go back to say, oh, what was this person working as? And the person says project coordinator. A project coordinator is different from a project manager from our own point of view. Like an HR coordinator is different from an HR BP, right? So it's different. So we see it as lying and it could affect your, the job. Again, like, of course, you can use English to package like what you've, gotten, but you don't want that to mar your, you don't want that to mar your chances. So it's good that you leave it. The only thing that I would say is sometimes, because back home in Nigeria, some of the things we do is not equivalent to what they do here. So you can change it if in that context. Because we have some roles back home, especially with, recently we found out for, I think, social media strategies or something like that, I can remember. Here, we use more of communications advisor or communications officer and stuff like that. So you can, in that context, you may be able to change, so just for them to understand the level of responsibility and the role itself. But in terms of changing the name entirely, especially if it affects the job roles, like I said, coordinator, project coordinator is different from project manager. It's totally different, yeah.
Sorry, Jacqueline, I'm so sorry, Sona. Jacqueline actually wanted to speak. That will be it. If you're able to give it in 30 seconds, you can go. Mic issues.
Yeah, mine's quick. If it's adding more clarity to the role, I think that's okay. Like on my own resume versions, I used to have one where my co-op title was accounting summer student. And it's not descriptive in any way, so I just put in brackets next to it, like accounts payable clerk, because that was the main focus of what I was doing, and I helped with a bunch of other stuff.
Thank you.
So just to add more clarity to it, so a project manager, for example, could have various project coordinators, and most of the times the project manager delegates the work to the project coordinators. So you are looking at something from one viewpoint, not having visibility to other things. So when you change your title, you may be changing it because you feel like you're actually doing the work for that project manager, but you don't have visibility to other things that is entailed within that job description. So I think you can highlight and strongly say, give details that you were the one that carried out the tasks that the project manager should be doing, but keep your job title the same. That's my personal opinion.
No, just for clarification, I'm not saying change your title. I'm saying if there's I know for coordinator, for instance, in some places they have something that's similar but different. Not a manager. If you're not managing people, it's different than you're managing people. You can't say that. So, but like he said, sometimes in certain industries they may use similar things that are in the same level. Then in that sense, that's specifically what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take one question from. Is it a contribution? I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm going to be a bad person. I'm so sorry. I can't. Because of time, we have 7 minutes left. I am so sorry. My apologies, ma. I want to take a question from Slido, actually. And I was looking at Slido earlier this morning, and I saw this person had put it up. I don't want to miss it. It only has one vote. The question is, and I want to pose it to you, Ma. The question is, I'm an internationally trained pharmacist with a master's in public health. What tips for me, for someone who's new to the country, to get back in my professional field? Okay, so in as much as I'm posing that to you, thinking of people pivoting into other roles, we're in a new country, how do we position ourselves? And I know that you have a bachelor's in geography, so how were you able to pivot from geography into nursing?
Yeah, it's quite challenging, but it's doable. So I think, first of all, what is most important is having the right information. So it's very important you have the right information, know what the prerequisites are. So if you have what it takes, if you know what it takes, then it won't take you forever to achieve what you want. So in my own case, I had a bachelor in geography. I never did sciences all my life, so I had to, I had to go to nursing school and know what the prerequisites are, and which they told me. So I needed chemistry, I needed biology, I needed, biology, chemistry, I needed, with my English and maths, of course. So I had to go back to school to do that. And after doing that, it wasn't a problem for me to get into nursing school. So our advice for the internationally trained pharmacists to probably, I know they have board, so, and I know that most of the time they write exams, So
Right.
go to the board and find out what's needed to be done. I know quite some people that did that. Yes, sometimes some people had to rewrite the exams, for a couple of times, but it's doable. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Wish you all the best. Go ahead.
Hello? Okay. I can talk on this one. My wife was a pharmacist in Nigeria, and then she moved here and then did other things. But one of the key things to mention is that, like Sister Fumi mentioned, understand the prerequisites. And I think a lot of times we come with a tunnel vision, which is, okay, yes, I was a pharmacist back home. I have to come here and become a pharmacist as well. I think one of the things I tell my friends is that you flew over oceans to come here, and I think it's sometimes a time to take a pause, reset, and actually look for other opportunities. And I think there are also other pharmacy supporting roles. For example, I think it's in that process that my wife found out, okay, yes, if I have to be a pharmacist here, I have to go through all this, I have to be standing for 8 hours doing this, and then she did a reassessment and okay, yeah, that's not actually what I really want. And then there are other pharmacy supporting roles. I think there's clinical research. There are a whole lot of other things that you can do that might align more with what you actually really want. So I'll say rather than saying, oh, I was a pharmacist back home, I want to come here and become a pharmacist, go through all those hoops, I'll say before doing that, actually sit and do a reassessment of what you really want and then go from there.
Thank you so much for that. Do we have anyone that wants to take that question on? I don't see any hands. I've been told by my IR ops that the two people that actually rose their hands up in the audience concerning, I forget the question now. I know we have Ruth and I know we have Mr. Sipiwo. Can we get the mic? If you're not able to do that in 30 seconds, no more questions.
All right. So my question is simple. Back home, the company I worked with, they have a generic description. So they call everybody an executive, 1 or 2 or 3, whatever it is, MCO, whatever it is they call you, right? But what you get to do, and the reason they do that is because you could be here today and they decide, okay, I think we need you in this department, so we move you over there. You still have your position. So if you do, like you said, a security check to them or ask them a question, they will tell you the description of what it was that they gave on my letter, right? They will not tell you for a fact that, oh, she was this, that, right? So in that situation, and for them, you had to wear many hats because this day you are in this department doing this. Next time, 2 months down the line, you're somewhere else. So let's say I'm applying to your company now, and what I did for just 2 months in this place works out, and I put it there. I'm not lying, right? No. I'm just fitting it to the job.
Definitely.
So how do I not seem like I'm misrepresenting what I did for them, right? And apply to the job as professionally as possible?
That's a great question.
Seems like it was directed at you.
Okay. So yes, I understand your point. So a lot of times, I feel like you can do that with like the bullet points you have. So you can have, you know what solves it again? In brackets. No, there's space. In bracket, honestly, and I'm serious, in bracket, I put it in bracket. Then your bullet points, of course, you show all of those things that you feel like, the things you were doing that, aligns with the role you were applying for. And exactly, in brackets solves it, honestly. In brackets.
In brackets, no problem. If I put everything I did in my previous organization, I will have 7 pages. Only then.
So,
but you can. I think what she's saying, like you can still summarize. You can still say whatever executive dash finance, whatever
exactly.
it is, right? And to create. So I think you can still do that, and
Yes.
and I don't think that's lying, right? I don't think that's lying.
It wouldn't be. So if you were maybe executive 1, for instance, maybe that's what. Yeah, you can put like hyphen. If it was finance, you were supporting. You put it in finance. If it was finance and supply chain, you put in brackets finance, supply chain, executive.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so the comment I wanted to make was just, Oba, please. The comment I wanted to make was just about the background search and embellishment and give you my own testament that happened to me. So I had changed a job title. I had worked at a company and I had 3 different job titles while I was at that company. But unfortunately, my HR records at the company didn't reflect 2 of the job titles. And I applied for my job now, and they did a background search. And then they sent me the report, and the report said so there was green, yellow, and amber. So I was in the amber, and they said there's a 2% lie on my resume because of that. So embellishments can help maybe in an interview, but don't forget there's still a background check. So I now had to call the company to be like, hey, you guys know I was with you guys. I changed job title from co-op student to this person, and they're like, oh yes, our records are incorrect. So it now became like a whole process, but with prayers and just talking to the people, they were able to overlook that. So in your embellishment, just remember that there's still background check.
Thank you so much for that. Embellish with discretion. I have been told that we'll be running through the lunch break. Please get yourself some snack if you need to quietly. To the left my left, your right of the room, you'd see pop. We have cookies there. Please help yourself to that. And I hope we're still ready to go through. I know we had prepared for maybe 55 minutes. Are we ready to go push through? Okay. We have water there, so I don't know if we all know that we have water, so please feel free. Okay. Who wants to ask a question? I'm going to reserve because I have a question. I'm going to reserve my own question to the end because I have the mic. Go ahead. Can we just keep your hands raised? You have a question? Can you keep it raised? Let's be snappy. Thank you so much.
Hello. So about the changing of the roles, the job titles.
That's a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, it's quite, so I'm a bit confused because, like, for example, someone who is a pharmacist back at home, and you come over here, and maybe you came to do your master's. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And maybe you came over here to do your master's, and obviously you need a job, and you know you can't practice as a pharmacist. You have to do your license and everything. And now, if you're applying for jobs, let's say, for example, you're applying for pharmacy assistants and all those stores, and all you've done over where you were coming from is just pharmacy role.
Pharmacy, right?
You've not done any other thing. That's just what you've known. Maybe, for example, you've done the job for like 5 years and all those stuff. So about tweaking the job rules, is it possible to change that pharmacy role that you've done in your country to fit into maybe, let's say, medical support assistant or pharmacy assistant role? Because obviously, if you put in pharmacists, I don't think they are going to give you the job. It's not even possible.
Do we understand the question?
Yeah, but I think that's a little different because it's like a regulated field.
Yes.
So if you put pharmacy here, it still doesn't really matter because they will ask you for your license. So it's like, I don't think, for regulated fields, it's a little bit more clear because if you call yourself this, you have to be that and where you're applying. So if you're an engineer in Canada, you have to be an engineer in Canada. Whether you're an engineer somewhere else and come here and say, you can put on your resume, sure, but they're going to ask you for your license. So I don't even think it's lying. I just think it's not, like it doesn't even compare. So for regulated ones, I think your example is a little bit different because it's regulated. But if you're changing it, like she said, if you're changing the title just to fit in the job, it might be a little bit of lying there to say. Like,
As Christians.
Do you have more to add? Because you said as Christians. Do you have more to add?
I mean, no, and sometimes it's just, these things are like ethical, to be honest. Like, I mean, you could put pharmacy assistant in it and put all of the things that, pharmacy assistant do. Well, you could. Nobody knows, right? Maybe you have somebody to corroborate that for you from where you're coming from. But deep down, like, children of God, we don't lie.
One more thing to add, and I think having been on the hiring side of things, there's a lot of times I don't think a lot of folks pay attention to the title as much. It's the job description. It's the not the job description now. Your
bullet points.
Yeah, your bullet point and the roles and responsibilities that you did is what I care about more and how it relates to what I'm hiring for. I don't think a lot of folks pay too much attention to the title.
To that as well, yeah.
Yes, I agree. Because we've had to like DI, meaning disciplinary interview, call it disciplinary interview for somebody that, had this kind of issue, and it was somehow, because imagine having to work a couple of months, you already thought you got your dream job, and, it caught my eye because, the name looked familiar, and I was like, So, it's just somehow, it could be messy sometimes. So that's why, those things are very dicey, yes.
I'm going to throw it all to the audience.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's true. What should we do?
So just to add to that.
Can we stand, please, so that
okay.
we know who's speaking?
Okay, so sorry, Ms. Maxwell. Just to add to that, I think your relationship with the previous organization you worked with comes in handy. Because when you're applying with the mindset that you're going to get the job and you change your job title, the company you are coming from have to know that you are changing your job title. So when they do a background check, they would use the job title you have used, rather than after you've applied, they're coming to tell them. It looks tricky, but even if it's not tricky, it gives that perception that what you did back home is different from what you are saying here. So my own perspective would be, have a relationship with where you're coming from so that when you're changing job titles, it's easier for them to relate with your story.
Being transparent. Thank you so much for that.
Is it also done from
Can you
outside?
ask it again so that people online can hear?
Oh, okay. I said the background check we're talking about. Do you? Thank you.
Get hold that mic.
I'm sorry. The background check, is it also inclusive of back home?
Yes.
So you send documentation to them to fill out, and this.
Yes, most times if you don't have like 5 years history in Canada, you have to provide from back home.
Oh, okay. And then do you have the opportunity to let them know? Yes, that's the last one. Do you have the opportunity to let them know that something like that might happen? Can you tell them?
No, actually, no, you can't.
It's a very confidential process.
Yeah, it's a third party that does it, not even like the hiring managers. So it's really confidential.
No, I think what she's asking is, for example, if you're my reference, can I tell you, oh, you're my reference for this job?
Oh, like speaking to your own reference.
No.
Yes, of course. Yes, reference. Yes.
Okay, that's going to be, we have one more question, going to be our last questions from the audience. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question is to Mrs. Ronke. I was going to ask, as an HR, is there anything about, well, let me just give an example about myself. I'm a pharmacist, and I have a master's. And I'm trying to do my licensing exam, but at the same time, I'm just looking for something to just keep me busy, not too stressful while I do so something like maybe an admin assistant and stuff like that, yeah. So, well, I've heard from people, but I just want to hear from an HR perspective to just know, is there anything like where there's the bias, where you see an overqualified person and you're like, oh, this person, maybe, for example, yes, I'm a pharmacist, so she's applying for an admin assistant. She might leave early, so the bias of, oh, I'm not going to hire her. Do you understand what I mean? I don't know if I'm asking my question properly. Yeah, like maybe being overqualified. I've had like people suggesting to me that, oh, take your master's off your resume because it might pose you as an overqualified patient, as an overqualified candidate because you're applying for maybe admin assistant that they probably just need a college degree, something like that. I just want to know.
I think that ties in with the question you had asked. I'll throw it again to the audience, if you can be quick about it. Okay. Sorry, not the audience, panelists.
Bias is something that sometimes we see and sometimes we don't see. Most importantly, like the hiring managers, they have all said some of the sentiments that they have when they're hiring. You've heard from them. So a lot of times, they may not tell you their sentiment because they have the final say on who they are going to hire. So we try to help them to see their biases. So when they discuss the candidates, usually after we have the interview, we are trying to make them see their biases and able to, so when they say, oh, I feel like this person is overqualified, and we're like, but then we work with very strict guidelines, like in our own place, like minimum calls is minimum calls, even if you have a PhD. Once you have the minimum qualification, we don't care about that. So like they pay you well enough to say, okay, we know that even if you, this is, the pay is good, so we wouldn't say, because of this pay, we want to pay this amount, we feel like a master's degree cannot take this money or something like that. So with us, the bias sometimes may come from the hiring manager and we may not be able to see it. They may just look it and be like, I'm taking this person, but in their heart, they know it's because of, this person has a master's. But if it's something they have shared, meaning we are able to discuss it, we're like, okay, no, definitely this doesn't matter because we're working with the minimum qualification for this role, which is 1, 2, 3, or, the experience or whatever that they have and how they performed in the interview. So obviously bias is always part of something because everything is subjective, especially when it comes to interview, performance, and all of those things. They are subjective. So the hiring manager has the final say, but then we help them to see their biases and support them through the process to ensure that they're hiring the right person, not the person they really want.
Solomon, I think you said you wanted to speak.
Yeah, I think maybe you're overthinking it a little bit too much. To be quite honest, the most important thing to me is your story. Does your resume tell the story of how you relate to the job that's being hired for? It's even more fishy to me if you leave it out and I find out later, I'm like, what? Or like, why did you think? That kind of seems over fishy. Why are you leaving it out there? I know people that have different qualifications that go somewhere else. Is your story. To me, it's like, you look at the job you're applying for. Do you have what it takes to do that job? You try to tailor your story to go to that job. And if you're lucky enough to get an interview, you tell your story. I don't even overqualification and some of those things sometimes I think is too literal and linear. Just because you're a pharmacist doesn't mean you're qualified to be an admin. So even the saying overqualification is not, it doesn't even compare. Do you have the skill set to do that job? That's really what matters there. So I think a little bit, sometimes we think too little about, this title or this job or this degree or whatever. It's always, what always tells you is your story. Are you able to tell your story as well enough, both in your resume, in your interview, and I think that's that. Then all of a sudden it starts making sense. Like why, when you're talking to a hiring manager, it starts making sense why you were a pharmacist before and you're doing your license, but now you want an admin job. if you're able to tell that story, I think a hiring manager will be able to relate to that.
Jacqueline.
The other way to tell that story is through a cover letter to supplement with your resume so that it ties all that in. So if you want to make sense to the hiring manager why you're a pharmacist looking to do an admin job, you can put in what your transferable skills are and why you'd be good for that role. I'm not sure if it's too much to include your why you're looking for an admin assistant, but at least it helps fill that gap so then they consider.
I see two people's brains thinking and I don't know who to pick. Alan,
I'll go
Sona.
quickly. In terms of to your question, it was, is the bias there? 100% it's there. It's just what it is. We're humans. We all have biases in some way, shape, or form. But it now comes to the story. For example, there is ageism as well. I'm bringing someone who I think is too old to be on this team. You get what I'm saying? It is there. It's now walking through it and telling the story. I think I've had someone who I knew was going to retire in 1 year. But in a storyline, he said, dude, I've done all these things. Cybersecurity is one thing I have always wanted to do that I haven't done. And it would be great if you can help me achieve this dream. We brought him in. He had the basis. And knowing fully well this guy is not going to be staying long. Yeah. We didn't even think he had the... Because it's an high-pressure environment. We didn't think he could do it. But with a story, we're able to bring him on and help him achieve that goal. And retired, and everybody was happy.
30 seconds.
Story.
30 seconds.
I think the thing you should be more worried about is not your overqualification, but the hiring manager's goal. It's very difficult to go out there. It's very time-consuming to look for someone. And if they're hiring, say, you for that role, the worry would be, how long are you staying? Are you going to stay for 3 months or 6 months, and I'll be out there reinvesting my time, going through this whole process again? I think that should be the worry.
Okay,
Sorry,
one last question.
Let me just conclude by saying...
30 seconds, please.
In my honest opinion, my little experience here, I've done hiring, interview, and all of that. I haven't heard an hiring manager tell me somebody is overqualified. I've not. That's my own personal experience. I have not heard them saying, I'm not taking this person because they're overqualified. I've not. That's my personal experience. I haven't been here for so long. Maybe that's why, but that's my personal experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope the audience has been able to pick one or two things, people in their new grad students, people looking to pivot, and I hope you've been able to learn and you actually enjoyed this, this experience. Thank you so much. And please, can we clap for them as they go back to their seats? Thank you very much. And I'm going to call up... Okay, let's take a 5-minute break, actually. Let's stretch our legs and move around and interact. 5 minutes, we'll be back here at 1:21.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can we please be seated? Thank you very much. Um, s- all right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Orlua, and I'm here with.
My name is Steven.
And we're going to be speaking about just essentially tips and our process in becoming, moving from, I guess, the position of being in school and then moving on to getting like a post-grad job. Okay. All right, and I'm just going to hand over to Mr. Steven.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. As you can see, I'm very shy, but I'll try my best to just say what I have to say. Hallelujah. So, for me, my journey is really, like they said about faith, my journey is just a journey of mercy and grace, right? So I'd just like to share some of the experiences and the things that I went through, and how God helped me, and the things that I, of course, did myself that helped me. So I came into, and the reason why I'm saying this is to encourage somebody and to push somebody into a place of exploits, I pray. So I came into Canada over 3 years, going to 4 years ago. I have a background in engineering, mechanical engineering, to be precise. But when I came into Canada, I've always wanted to be a pilot, right? So I came into Canada for my flight training, right? And everything started going on smooth. But starting out, I started working at, I don't want to mention the place, odd job. It was a very physical job, minimum wage. But I knew I'm made for more. I can always do more. Having practiced in Nigeria in construction and all of that, so I began to look at the things that I'm missing, the things that I need to get to be where I'm at, right? So from there, I think I spent about 3 months doing the very physical job, minimum wage. I got a better paying job as a student. And it just so happened around the time when the government allowed you as a student to work 40 hours, and things were going smooth for me. But I still knew that I'm made for more, right? I can be more. And then when I noticed something about what I was going through, like I said, I had given myself a timeline to complete my training, my flight training, but things were not working as I planned because the weather, a lot of summer, and then you can't do your training and all of that. So I looked within myself. I don't want to be stuck in this place just because I'm going through my passion, I'm trying to achieve something, right? So I began to look within and, of course, look outward to see what exactly is the market saying? What is going on in the market, and what do I have? What can I build on what I have, right? So I looked at my qualification, I looked at my experience, and then I began to look out for certifications, what I can do. In the period of that time, I was able to get my PMP, and I saw one program out in Ontario Tech, a nuclear program there. I did that. So at that point, people were like, this guy, you're just jumping from flying to whatever. But I needed to bridge the gap between what I had and where I want to get to. And I'm somebody, by the grace of God, I don't give up, no matter what it is. At some point in my life, it was so dark, but it was a period that built me. Why am I saying this? Because the period helped me to be able to work beyond what I have. If you saw my resume 3 years ago, it's total garbage, right? And then I began to refine all of that. And believe me, last year, I had a lot of rejections. If I say this, people don't believe, but I think I applied to over 1,000 jobs, right? I was consistent. I don't give up, like I said. And I just want to encourage somebody. It's one opportunity that will open the door, that will change the narrative, that will change the story. I thank God for where I am today, but do not give up. That's one thing I would say. And keep pushing for the door. Sometimes you need to kick the door open. If you keep knocking and nobody's opening, you just need to kick it open. So just be relentless. Just keep the focus on. And don't settle for less. If you know that you're looking into something you want to become, don't just glory in your moment. And I want to also encourage somebody not to do things to survive in Canada, because look beyond paying your rent. I know things can be overwhelming, but I just want to encourage you that no matter what you're going through, just look at the bigger picture that you have for yourself and try to reduce and bridge the gap. And I believe, like we said, faith with God's help, we'll get there. Thank you. Over to Sister Ore.
Okay, we're already on the next slide. So I'm going to be speaking about how I got my first and current role, which was straight out of university. And I've broken this up into 3 main points that I feel like summarize the entire journey. And I will preface this again by saying that the grace of God and the wisdom of God is very important in this journey. So the first thing that I highlighted here is discovering your interests. So I graduated with a bachelor's in information technology from Ontario Tech. And within the program that I did, it was, I guess, kind of geared to positions like network engineering, help desk, things like that that were more technical. And I realized that, okay, maybe this is not exactly what I wanted to do. And within my third year, there was a course that had to do with more policy related things. And that was where I figured out, okay, it seems like I have an interest here. And I decided to start looking for roles that were within that field. So discovering your interest, I feel like it's really important to help you streamline what you're looking for and to help you be able to target exactly where you are going to. The next thing I would say is really important as a student or someone who is a new grad is joining clubs and societies, whether on or off campus, that kind of supports, that system of, I think our HR person today, she spoke about like building that network, right? Connecting to campus networks because they are really important. So I'll speak personally of the experience that I had. So I was on if you go to Ontario Tech, you probably know this club, NetSoc, which is the Networking and IT Security Students Society, and I was also part of the Women in Technology. And those things helped me to connect with recruiters directly because there were lots of events that they hosted. And another step further, if you are interested in doing things like that as well, is joining the executive team. So that gives you more, I would say, direct access because not only are you speaking to the recruiters, they also get to kind of see how your mind works because, again, you're coordinating events with them and things like that. And that was something I was eventually able to leverage even with getting my current role. So yes, I would say if you are not part of any clubs or societies on campus, you are snoozing. And I hope you make the decision to join. And even off campus as well, there are lots of communities that are related to things that you are doing that if you are not leveraging, that's something that you might be, again, causing yourself to miss out on. So be on the lookout for opportunities like that can connect you to those things. And the last thing that I would say is build your network and register your presence. So again, going back to what I had mentioned about, joining societies and things like that, again, it can be, I know, daunting and stressful and frustrating to keep putting yourself in front of people and putting yourself in their faces, right? I remember there was a certain experience I had, and I had this ongoing conversation with this guy, and he was saying all these things. Oh, you'd be such a great fit for the team, all of these things. And eventually it was the person just ghosted me, right? And so even though I could have given up, I was like, you know what, I have something more that I want, and I focused on that, and I kept going. And with the particular company that I'm with right now, I kept on putting myself in events that related to them. So I met a lot of people actually that were within that company, which is what I said about registering your presence. So by the time I had spoken to them and I would be like, oh, I'm interested in this role, or this is what I applied for, I had two people actually, because one of them, I had an ongoing conversation with her based off of the club that I was part of, the Women in IT, and I had worked with her in the time past. And there was someone that I just met randomly at one of these events as well. And I mentioned to her that, oh, I've applied for this role. And the two of them voluntarily decided to send my resume to the hiring director. So this is what I'm saying. It's very important. Register your presence. Put your face in front of people. Let them know you, right? As much as, again, it can be daunting, it is really, really important, right? And yeah, I pray that the lines of the land fall for everyone in pleasant places and you receive favor on all sides in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
One thing I would like to add, it's when the resume, we have the group at the church level, how that there's offer for resume clinic and all of that to help. There's something I also want to encourage, that whenever it is that we are able to get the interview invite, we shouldn't work in isolation. Try to speak with professionals, people who actually are doing these things that you can speak to, right, to prep you for the interview. So you don't just go in there blank and not just go there with what you read, but something very physical. Perhaps somebody you practice, and rehearse all of those things with. And honestly, I think that will help. Thanks.
Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you've been able to pick one or two things. We'll go into our next session, which is the booth. We have some experts at each of these booths. We have people from engineering, we have people from project management, nursing, we have finance, we have someone in AML, compliance, we have cybersecurity, IT risks, software development. Panelists, some of you had signified that you'd be happy to be at the booths. Solomon, you're here. Jacqueline, you're over there. Sister Fumi, you're over there. Yes, so please, let's just scatter around. Make a very, very neat line. Ask your questions. We're going to be here till 2 o'clock, and then we're done for the day. And again, if you've not gotten lunch, please go over to the left side of the room to get your lunch. Thank you. Apologies, we're going to do this till 1:50. So we have another 20 minutes to speak with whoever we want to speak with, then we close for the day. 10 more minutes left. 10 more minutes left. Let's not take up all the time. Let's give time to other people to ask questions too. 10 more minutes left. Thank you. Five minutes left. 5 minutes left. 2 minutes left. Let's round up our conversation. 2 minutes left. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for engaging the panelists and our booth people. Thank you so much. Can we have our seats now? It's 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock. Can we have our seats? I want to welcome Pastor Matthew and our HOD, Sister Tommy, to come over, give the closing remarks and the prayer. Can we all settle down, please? Thank you so much. We can ask our panelists and our speakers today to provide their social media handles, maybe their LinkedIn, and emails for your use so that you can still keep asking questions. I want to call up Pastor Matthew and our HOD, Sister Tommy. Can we settle down, please? Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for listening. No, go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. I trust I wanted to say we're blessed, but yes, are we blessed? All right, just one more thing I wanted to just say before we pray and before Sister Tommy comes up. Like I mentioned earlier on, one of the reasons why a lot of people, when I talk to them, why are you not applying again or things, they get discouraged easily. And the reason is because, maybe you are coming from a country whereby you're a first-class student, everything you touch happens instantaneously. You now enter this country, you saw that role, you think that, it's too much, I can get it even without doing an interview. And the email you got the following morning is, we are sorry. And then unfortunately, you just begin to think to yourself, maybe I'm not really qualified, and you begin to work with a defeatist mentality. Not at all, I'm sure our panelists will have told you there are many things that are responsible for recruitment that is many a times not about the skills of the person being interviewed or, like I was saying to people in my team, the job I currently do, I've already gotten the offer letter before they put the role on LinkedIn. And I had people applying. I had people on LinkedIn reaching out to me. Oh, we saw that role in your company. Can you refer us? And I'm like, the role I just got. So imagine those people applying for that role. And then they say, oh, unfortunately, we are sorry. Never knew that they did not even bother to even check their resume, right? So sometimes, even in the organization, sometimes we'll see, maybe our director will tell us that, oh, I have this person coming. Can you please just give him the job for the entry level? And you don't want to say, oh, this person needs to go through the process. We'll do interview, but I've done interview for somewhere by the director asked me, what are the questions you ask the person tomorrow? So the person can prepare. And you are praying at home, Lord, this job, this is what I want to get. Meanwhile, not know that before even the job offer came, before the job application came out, they already knew who they will choose. But the truth of the matter is that keep applying, there will be one. It's not about the number of no's, it's about the number of 1 years. Right? All the job you're applying to, you are not planning to work in all of them. Or are you? You just need only one job to start. So it's not in the number of 900 no's, but in that 901 attempts, that is your yes. So don't be discouraged. Create a new Gmail that will be handling all the unfortunately. And just so that it will not affect your mood. Just throw it. The Bible says, cast your bread upon many waters. One will show up. So have that mentality, especially when you are starting out like this. As you grow your career, you become more choosy and more specific. In this is the kind of organization I want to work. This is the kind of role I want to work. But as you are starting out like this, don't be too picky. It's not that we don't have that room for luxury. So cast your bread upon many waters. And lastly, the book I recommended for you, please try to get it and read it. The art of tooting your horn without blowing it. There's a chapter on there that the speaker spoke about how to even brag during an interview. It will help you, because I've discovered that many Christians, interestingly, don't know how to speak about where they are good at. They are too humble in those areas. You see a Christian during performance review, he will score himself 3/5. Because he doesn't want to say, I don't want to give myself more than what I think I am. And someone who doesn't do half of your job in the same department will give himself 5/5. Yeah, so learn how to. It's not a sin when you tell people, this is what I'm good at. I can do this very well. Are you following me? So learn how to open your mouth and talk. You are in the interview session, you are trying to convince them, to woo them, that you are the best in whatsoever thing you are doing. Can I hear louder amen? All right, let's pray. Father, we thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you for this time. We trust and we know that it's not a wasted time. We believe strongly that as we live here, doors are open to us. That everything we've learned today, it will come in handy in those doors that have been opened up to us, Lord. We ask that everyone here, wisdom to apply what they've learned to produce effective results is released unto them. In the name of Jesus. Those who are searching for jobs, looking for jobs, we ask, oh God, that you will give them the right one. That you will open doors and you make them to be aware of those doors that have been opened unto them. Those who in their career have hit a stage whereby they want to move for fulfillment, that you make it easy for them. In the name of Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, for in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, please also let me appreciate the Growth and Development Unit who brought this together. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for everything today. To our panelists, to our keynote speaker, thank you, Matt, to the pastor, everybody, Growth and Development, you guys rock. Thank you, and to the people, everyone that attended today. So I just have a quick thing to let us do, just as a closing activity. To say. Okay, so it's going to be like an affirmation for us. And we're living here powerful. We're living here armed with information. Like everybody has rightly said, you belong to every room that you think in your mind that you want to be. So let's go. Say, I am qualified. Say, I am prepared. Say, I belong in every room I walk in. My background is not a barrier. I will not apologize for starting over. I will not give up on myself. Today I take one step forward and I will not stop. My career begins now. Thank you, everyone.